Hello, hello, and welcome, everybody. I know today we have a live podcast and excited to be joined with people in the Zoom with us for our session today. My name is Kailei Carr, and welcome to the Beyond the Business Suit podcast. And this is our podcast where we help you to awaken to your purpose, your potential, and your presence. And again, my name is Kailei Carr, and I am thrilled to be joined with a special guest today. Let me tell you about our special guest today. TianEn Stephenson is an author and the author of Closed Mouths Don't Get Fed, the recipe of asking and getting what you want in the workplace, which released today. So congratulations to TianEn. We are so thrilled and honored that you have spent part of this day with us. So let me tell you a little bit about her book. Through her book, she provides practical knowledge and guidance on how to be successful through speaking up, being curious, and going after the career she wants. She is a motivational speaker and career curator where she helps others see their potential and ambitions in their careers. TianEn is a digital products and delivery consulting executive, a board member of a nonprofit, a wife, a mom of four boys. Yes, four boys, and also has two dogs. And when I think of TianEn, the words that come to mind are fortitude, excellence. So, TianEn, welcome to Beyond the Business Suit.
Thank you,
Hello,
Kylie.
hello.
I
So, can you
appreciate
hear
the,
us?
yes, I can hear you. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, I've known TianEn for a few years. So I think it would be good to give everybody just a little bit of background on how I know TianEn. So we met back in 2018 when TianEn was a part, actually, even beforehand, before she was a part of, and I should say it was connected to an organization called the Information Technology Senior Management Forum. And we had a women's event that was called the Emerge Forum that was taking place in Dallas, Texas that year. And we connected there. And she subsequently became a part of our cohort with a leadership development program that was specifically for women of color in IT, primarily Black women, for that organization called the Emerge Academy. And I had the pleasure and the honor of working with TianEn there. Let me tell you a little story about that. So TianEn was probably one of the youngest, if not the youngest, in the cohort. And yet, and still, this is really representative of TianEn. They had to do a capstone project, and as a part of the capstone we needed a lead, and she quickly raised her hand to be the lead of that project. And we're talking with a group of, you know, type A stellar,
Yes.
technologists and fierce women. And she did an excellent job. So I think that is quite representative of who she is, and also this fearlessness that she has about her, and what she talks about in this book. I've been taken aback and really have appreciated how over the course of the 6 years that I've known TianEn, she has taken a hold of her career. And, I even not only her career, but her life. I only have one child, and I don't think I could have more than one child. Like I don't think I could physically, mentally, emotionally. And TianEn has four boys and two dogs and a husband and a nonprofit. I just don't know how she does it, but she does. Not to mention releasing this book with an infant at home, but we'll get to that. We'll get to all of that today. So let's dig in. TianEn, how are you feeling today on the launch of Closed Mouths Don't Get Fed?
I feel so excited. It's amazing that we have gotten to today. I've been just waiting for this day, but to say we're here on June 4th makes it even bigger and more aligned to everything that I've been working for. So happy right now.
That is awesome. This is a special day for me as well, and I didn't tell you this was my paternal grandmother's birthday. So June,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. So my
yes.
father's mother and my nana, and so this date has always had a special place in my heart. So I am glad that we are able to share this day in such a celebratory manner. So I would love for you to tell us what what compelled you to write this book in the first place?
So it really started with me reflecting on my career after I got promoted to manager. And I was just sitting and reflecting, and it all came back to asking. And I was like, how did I get here? How was I able to be successful with having the family, having the obstacles in my way? And I was like, if I could help other women, other men, anyone along their careers with the knowledge that I've been able to use, then this will make it so much better. I want to see others win. So I just started jotting down ideas and what did closed mouths don't get fed meant to me. And, bullet point by bullet point and expanding on stories and ideas. And then it became 56,000 words.
Wow. Wow. I know that even the title came from a special place. So can you tell us about where the title came from?
So growing up, my dad will always tell me closed mouths don't get fed. If you don't tell me what you need help with, if you don't tell me what you need, how can I help you? So when I started in the career, started my career, I was so blown away by the folks around me. Everyone was brilliant. Everyone was awesome. And I was like, I have to start speaking up. I have to let people know what I'm about, what I need help with. I didn't know what I was doing when I started. I started in digital testing. I didn't have a clue what digital technology or any of that was. I got my degree in business, but then I started to ask questions when I arrived, and I was like, "Hey, I'll figure it out. Let me ask questions." I was very curious, very much wanting to just learn as much as I could, being a 22-year-old. And so I just started asking questions. And then obviously over time, the types of questions evolved, the depths of it, the type of relationships I was building, and just my ambitions grew over my career.
Beautiful. Well, in this book, you talk about your upbringing and some of the things that contributed to your path and who you are. So can you give us some of those highlights and some of those pivotal moments, both in your upbringing, but also as you transitioned into your professional career, that you feel really has helped you become this person that you are today?
Yeah, so I grew up here in Dallas, Texas. My mother and father definitely instilled a lot of valuable lessons around giving, servitude, just helping others. But then also there was a fierceness that came from my dad. He also played professional football. And so my sister and I, we got our athleticism from him and ended up running track from starting from middle school all the way through college. So high school definitely was defining as far as some of those key track moments. I had a summer track coach, Coach Orlando McDaniel, God rest his soul. He really pushed me past my limits so many times. When I didn't think I could go any further, he pushed me to go further. Had me running up these crazy hills or creating crazy workouts like 900-meter hurdles. Like, who runs 22 hurdles? So, really pushing the threshold, pushing my limits. And I actually saw that type of mentality show up in the workplace for me when there were tight deadlines or when we had to get a piece of code to production, or even when I didn't feel like I can, continue on the journey or learning something that was totally out of my expertise. Track shows up a lot in my life, and I still do a lot with track to this day. With the nonprofit sports team, we have a track team. So coaching kids, we actually got track practice tomorrow. So track still shows up. I still run. Other pieces of my upbringing, the diverse education from public school to private school definitely pushed my limits education wise, as far as knowing, all right, I can, study even longer or study smarter, um, don't have to study one way. There's various ways to study. The things I've learned from business school shows up on a regular on how to lead, how do I show up and manage people, manage the back office, manage a project. But then just the way I started at Accenture, it really is revealing because I actually started in campus recruiting. But once I started to meet people and expand my network, I realized I wanted more than recruitment. I wanted to learn more about technology. I wanted to expand my horizon. And that's how I made a pivot into digital testing, the digital practice at the time, and started to grow my career from that standpoint.
And for those who are listening in and who are on the line today who are not familiar with the consulting structure, is that common to go from
No.
campus recruiting to like a digital role?
No, it is very uncommon. Usually, if someone chooses an internal role or HR route, they have a very good expertise in benefits or recruitment or inclusion and diversity. But I thought that's what I wanted, but then I jumped into the deep end into technology and was very willing to learn. I think that was what kept me there in the digital practice because it was so intriguing. At the time, my first project was a mobile wallet. So imagine trying to create the technology for Apple Pay before Apple Pay came out. And and we were testing out the technology, testing out the NFC chip, which enables the application to tap, testing out mobile wallets and credit cards and all of that. Very new in the I guess just in the public eye, and being able to touch that beforehand was pretty amazing. And I think that what really piqued my interest.
That is amazing. And, I worked for the same firm earlier in my career and I know how rare it is. So it was kind of not a trick question, but I knew the answer to that one, that you don't often find people who have a business degree who go into campus recruiting and then end up in a tech focused consulting role and then have such a fast trajectory. Like that does not happen. So that says a lot about who you are and your ability to really dig in and ask the right questions and develop relationships. I would love to go back just a little bit because you mentioned your sister, and your sister is present in the book quite a bit, and you have an identical twin sister. So I'm curious, and he, I understand, like we don't know any other way unless or except for the experience that we have. So I know it's somewhat of a difficult question to answer, how has it influenced you to be an identical twin. At the same time, I know that you are a pretty self-aware and reflective person. So as you reflect on your life journey up to this point in time, how has having an identical twin sister impacted your life?
Growing up with my twin sister always gave me a partner in crime, someone that I can go through my experiences with and be able to reflect in real time with someone and say, hey, all right, we're doing karate together. How do we feel about that? Or we're doing piano lessons together. We realized there are certain things, one was better than the other, but it didn't mean that we weren't both great. It just means that we both have different strengths. So growing up, a lot of people will ask, who's the fast twin? And we always had a clever answer. And we would say, it depends. So if it was something quick and short, so 300 meters or faster, she was the faster one. I was the one that had more endurance. And so I would say, all right, she's the quicker one, and I'm the more endurance twin. So we both realized what our strengths were, and it played out in our races. And when we did the relays, she would start the relay off and then I would end it. So she would make sure we get the quick start, position ourselves as a team. Then I was make sure I'll bring it home. As far as if we were behind, I'll go catch someone. If we were ahead, I'll extend the gap. So we had our understanding of how we played in each other's lives. And it's always been supportive, it's always been uplifting, and we continue to cheer each other on. So I literally talked to my twin maybe an hour or so ago, and we were talking about my book launch and just how proud she was of me. But then 2 days ago, I was congratulating her about hosting her event called Afrofest in Taiwan. So we continue to cheer each other on no matter what area of life we're in. And it just means that we always have, someone lock in step. Granted, I do have a lot of other siblings and all of them are supportive, but it's a little different having someone there with you from the womb and everyday life as a kid and even going to college together, but then also taking separate paths as we are right now.
How difficult was that for you after, spending like literally from in the womb until graduating from college when you were adults and going out into the quote unquote real world for the first time? How was that for you?
It was different, as far as my twin deciding to, go all the way over to China. That's where she first went when we graduated, and not being able to talk to each other all the time. We didn't have FaceTime at the time either. So being able to actually define our own identity was something that we really benefited from. We were labeled the twins. We were always combined identities. But I think taking that chance to travel across the world, and then me staying here in Dallas, I think it gave us that chance to redefine who we are as individuals. Even though we still know we love each other, got each other's back, it gave us a chance to rewrite some chapters.
Well, it sounds like you both have done very well in your lives and have made or charted your own paths very well. So that is a beautiful thing. So I'd love to pivot a bit into your career and you know, we talked a little bit about the path that you created for yourself, and I'm curious around the role relationships and building relationships have played in your trajectory.
It started the whole beginning for me. The only way I found out about Accenture was through a family friend. It was right after I graduated college. I already had an internship, which was going well, but I knew I wanted something different. And so this family friend came to my mom's birthday lunch or something, and she told me she just joined Accenture. And she's like, you should come to this networking event. You may like what you see. And when I went to that networking event, it had me in awe of just how smart everyone was, the types of career paths everyone had. It was so different, but very unique and very successful. And I was like, I need to be a part of this. I want to learn from these people. You know, everyone got so much to offer, and I just wanted to absorb so much of that knowledge. And relationships showed the value immediately just from that one lunch. But then I see it show up time and again. When I decided to switch over to the digital practice, it was because of relationship. One of the executive assistants came up to me. I was in the office and she's like, hey, I may have an opportunity for you. My managing director needs help with his sales pipeline. Do you want to switch over? And I was like, that may sound interesting. I don't have much, knowledge of sales at the time, or more or less about digital technology, but I was willing to learn. And those leaders took me under their wings and explained things and gave me all the information that I needed. And I was able to show up the way they needed me to for operations and sales. And then eventually I shifted into the actual consulting piece, where my first manager, he found me my first project. I didn't have to go looking into the system and interview for projects. He said, hey, I got this testing role. You should take it. I was like, all right, I'll learn it. I'll figure it out and make it work. And even with that first project, I stayed on it for 2.5 years, which is quite long for a project. But it was because of the relationships. It was the way that I was able to learn, because there were probably 20 other testers in the office with me, but they allowed me to sit there and just learn from them, shadow them, to learn about testing, to learn about the intricate technology piece of the mobile app. So time and again, it showed up. Even when I got pregnant with my first kid on that same project, my leader, she was very supportive and answered all my questions around, all right, what does it look like to be a new mother and to travel if I had to travel, or could I stay local, or if I wanted to get promoted? She answered all of the questions that I had. And also the relationships really helped me thrive and understand that I was ready for each of the promotions too.
I love that. I love that. And obviously, you have proven yourself time and time again. And, I think about my early career, and as somebody who, early in my career, I had a lot of wins as well. And what I noticed was that I had the drive, I had the tenacity, I had the determination, I had some smarts, but I didn't always have the political savvy. And looking back, it caused me some cringe-worthy moments, and thank goodness these leaders gave me some grace and I learned from
Yes.
it. But I'm curious, have you experienced any of those in your career, and what have you learned through that self-awareness?
Oh yes, learning the political game, or just the ins and outs of navigating. I learned some quick lessons. Whether it's like, all right, you may not want to talk at the front desk all the time. You want to at least look like you're working. That was one of the first lessons. When I first started out, because I'm a very social person. I like to ask people how they're doing, but then I didn't realize that sometimes I may have stayed up there 30 minutes. But I had a great mentor. She was like, hey, you may want to, tone that down a little bit, or just if you do it a little a ways, just so you don't look like you're just hanging out, or even choosing the names to go by. So when I first started, I went by a family nickname, which is Joy. But then my email address said TianEn. So the same mentor, she gave me the game. She's like, all right, if people are trying to find you, you want to make it easy for them to find you. So either change your email to Joy or go by TianEn. Make it easy to where people can actually find you. It took me a little while to take that one on. I would say about 2-3 years later, but I realized that it made sense, and that it also gave me more comfort to go by my first name. Growing up, it was not easy to go by my first name because a lot of people didn't know how to pronounce it. They would butcher it or just resort to twin. And so once I got to corporate America and I realized everyone had unique names, people actually tried to pronounce your name. And it gave me the confidence to say, all right, let me go by mine too. And people gave respect and care to my name. And I really appreciate people for doing that because I always loved my name and people make me love it even more as an adult.
I love that. And I would imagine that may have had you embrace a new part of your identity too.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, I know that when we have some guests here from the Beyond the Business Suit community, and some of them may have also invited some of their mentees. And whether they're here or listening to this recording, we may have some people who are early in their career. They might just be getting started, maybe in their first 5 years of their professional trajectory. What advice do you have for them? What are some of the things you wish you would have known, or maybe that you learned early on?
Yeah, there's quite a bit that I appreciate folks for giving to me. One of the key advice that was given to me was get people in your boat. And when he said that, it means get people behind you to help support you. Don't wait until you need people to get to know them or to talk to them. Get to know them early on because you never know how your work may intertwine or how you can help each other, but then also build meaningful relationships with those people. And I've seen that play out so many times. And I had to dawn on some of those instances of if I didn't talk to them, where would I have ended up? Or if I never said hi, I would have never even found out about a new project that ended up giving me a promotion. So there's so many instances that those relationships really helped me and I've helped others along their journeys that I'm grateful that I learned the advice when I did. Another piece of advice is be the first person to say yes. A lot of times we're so quick to say, "Oh, I won't ask them," or "I won't bother with them," or "Oh, they may say no." And we pretty much deny us the opportunity to explore. We deny our opportunity to ask questions or to go on a discovery journey of knowledge, and then you never know where they may end up. So I would say be the first person to say yes because it can open up so many doors. And I think the very first instance where I see that showing up is when Kylie mentioned about the Emerge Academy. I didn't know how it was all going to play out, but I was like, all right, I'm gonna at least put the application in and see if they say yes to me. I'm gonna at least, put in the external training request with my manager to see if they will pay for it. I was like, I'm gonna put the application. If I have to pay for it out of my pocket, I will, but I'm gonna at least see if the company will pay for it too. And to my surprise, or maybe not too much of a surprise, they said yes. When I put in that training request, I put in the cost of the tuition for the Emerge Academy, but then also travel to 5 cities because at the time we were traveling to the symposiums. And they said yes. It wasn't like a battle or anything. I gave the information to the website. I gave them the brochure, and my business case was that, hey, I'm a newly promoted manager. I know this would be a great program to help me define my leadership style and allow me to show up in my best way. And they said yes. And if I would have said no to even applying, it's like, oh, I'm too young for this, or I'm not too advanced in my career, came up with some type of excuse, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at as far as being a senior manager, being courageous to write a book, being a mentor to so many. I probably would have still been in my insecurities and let my insecurities drive my path. But now I'm in a state of alignment. I'm in a state of courage. And even when I am afraid of the answers, I still say yes to myself and say, all right, let's just see where it takes me. And I go for the ride.
I love that. Such great advice. Great advice. I think about something that you talked about in the book, which is assumptions. So, can you talk about how assumptions hold so many of us back?
Ooh, assumptions can change or define our reality and our perception. It's a story that we tell ourselves and come up with some type of version of reality that may not always be true. My dad would always say, "If you assume, you make a fool out of you and me," because you're making a perception that, hey, they're going to say one answer or another, or I'm going to respond a different way, versus actually having that conversation and just seeing, hey, let me actually get to know this person, or let me actually find answers. And then a lot of times when we start to have a conversation, we actually, I guess, debunk those assumptions or get rid of those myths or, or just attitudes towards people. And I've seen where I've had assumptions too, and then I'm like, all right, let me rewind myself back. Let me go back and see where this assumption is coming from, and then let's get on the right track to understanding. So I can either get information, or I can help someone, or we can develop a deeper relationship.
Beautiful. Well, I have a few more questions, and I wanted to put a plug in for those of us who are live with us. If you have any questions for TianEn, feel free to put them in the chat. And if we have time, we may also ask you to ask the question, at least on audio. So feel free to put your questions in the chat. TianEn, we have talked about a lot of your successes, your accomplishments, your accolades. I know before we started recording, when we were just chatting it up before we started the conversation, you mentioned that some people had referred to you as a superwoman, and it was a little bit, you were a little bit cringing at that. And so I'm curious, because you have done so much, and you are, like I said, when I think about you, I think about fortitude, I think about driven. How do you take care of yourself so that you are not burning out from both ends?
Being a runner at heart, I still run. That's always my base of, hey, I'll go out for 10 minutes or 20 minutes and just knock something out just to breathe and feel the air on my face, to just be disconnected from technology for a moment. So running is always just that base for me. I'm a huge lover of music, all types of music. So sometimes I may just lay in my closet without the kids and just turn on some old school, 90s R&B music or some jazz, and just listen to the instruments, listen to the vocals, hone in on different pieces of the aesthetics of music. So those are my main two. Other ways I take care of myself, I like to travel. So even though I go on trips for business, I still make it fun for myself. I like just the journey of travel, from point A to point B, but then all the intricates in between. So I know my mother, she likes to travel a lot too, but she likes to people watch sometimes, or just admire the infrastructure of the airports. So there's some of that I like to do. But then also just playing with the kids. Looking at life through their eyes is very refreshing. They are so curious. They are so much fun. They just enjoy life for what it is. Just listen to their laughter, or what really piques their interest or what questions they have. So it brings me back to just keeping it simple, versus all the complexities of being an adult. So a lot of times they like going to the park or go swimming. We just go do that. No time stamps, no rushing, and just have fun as kids.
I love that. And what I hear in that too, especially at the end, is being present with
Exactly.
them. And your kids now range in from what age to what? Like, what are the ranges of the boys?
So we have Maximus, who is 11. He just graduated fifth grade. Now he's about to be a big middle schooler. Can't believe that. Then we have Titus, who is 7. That is my all American sports kid. Any sport he does, he is a true competitor. Then we have the first baby, Caius. He is 3 years old, and he just want to keep up with his older brothers. Anything he sees Titus or Max do, he's like, all right, I'm right there. He's their little shadow. And then we have the baby, Mr. Emrys. He is 4 months old, and we're at this fun stage of smiling and giggling and trying to roll over and trying to move those legs a lot. So we're in a very active and adventurous stage of life right now.
I bet. And how has the baby, like what has the baby taught you about yourself? Because I know every child comes with its own learnings and lessons and growth and all of those things.
Like you said about being present. So the fact that my husband and I, we decided we're done having kids, so we're not trying for that little girl, as everyone would love to ask. Um, it's really making me understand that this is the last of the baby moments. So I'm looking at it a little bit differently, and I'm like, okay, this is the last of, the size zero clothes. This is the last of, having a baby, on bottles and, you know, the bassinet. So I'm looking at it slightly different because this is the end of this chapter, where we're having kids. Now it's like, all right, we're in full blown raising the kids. So it's really shifting my perspective as far as how are these kids being raised, how my husband and I are showing up, because we're realizing like, okay, maybe we didn't do that, as much reading as we need to, so we're going to do more reading, or we're going to show up a little differently and go on more of the kids' school trips or take a couple more family trips in the year. So it's we're doing a little bit of reassessing and reevaluating of how we show up, but it's a lot of fun. He's been a lot of joy and just continue to be Mr. King. That's his middle name. So he's definitely shown up as a king too.
I love it. And when you think about the hopes and dreams that you have for your sons, what comes to mind?
I just want them to feel that they can do anything they put their minds to it. It sounds like a cliche, but through my book journey, it's been very telling and very rewarding that I was able to finish. And I want them to know, like, hey, if there's something you want in life, let's go for it. You have your father, your mother right here. We'll make it happen. My oldest wants to be a chef. All right, we'll put you in cooking classes. Let's go. The other one wants to do, the sports. All right, what sport do you want to do today? Oh, you want to go back to soccer? Okay, we'll figure out how to fit that in. So I want them to know that they really can do anything, even with obstacles, even with, challenges or priorities that we have to do with education, of course, we will make it happen.
Beautiful. Well, we have a question. What is your favorite part of your journey at this moment?
Well, as of today, just the amount of love and support that people have been giving me, it's beyond what I could have ever imagined. And I'm just so grateful for my village, for those who don't even know me at this point, and people who ask me questions, reach out, and just love on me. So I appreciate all the love. And then I appreciate the alignment. You know, it it's interesting when you hear people say, "Oh, I'm following my path, I'm following my purpose." But it's a whole different thing when you actually are the person living in the purpose. And I'm just happy to help others. This is what God has given me as my gift, and I am happy to be answering that call.
So when you think of, let's fast forward actually. Let's fast forward to 10 years in the
Ooh.
future. Okay, capture that in your mind. What are the hopes and dreams you have for yourself in 10 years?
The hope and dream, I can see myself publishing some more books, a few professional career driven books, but also some children's books. My kids have always been a big inspiration for me, and I want to tell some of their stories and actually have them write with me, and find a passion in that, and knowing that we all have stories to tell. We just need to figure out how to write it, and write it with someone who cares. I also want to, oh my goodness, in 10 years, I'll have some high school graduates, or college graduates. So yeah, yeah, my oldest will be in college. So seeing them follow their passions, being able to support them through their dreams, whatever it may be, and just cheering them on just as much as I've gotten into the same support, and then growing my own business. Through this book, I some things have been revealed to me as far as how, other ways I can support people. And I see, doing things with you, Kylie. I see ways of supporting people through mentorship or guidance, advocacy, and I want to figure out what does that mean and how to get there, of whatever that looks like in 10 years.
I love it. Well, we have another question from the audience, which is, did you face any fears or doubts while you were writing your book? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Yes. I did have a lot of different fears, doubts, and uh-oh. Oh, there we go.
We can hear you just, yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Okay. So, yes, I did face some fears and doubts. I've actually had someone tell me no, and that really made me feel small. The first person that I went to help be my editor or writing coach, they went through it and told me no, I didn't have enough experience or enough story to tell, to write a book. And that was very disheartening because I thought this person would be the right person. This person was going to help usher me through the journey. And I allowed that to stop my writing for, I want to say, about 6 to 8 months. I stopped writing, and I told myself I wouldn't, but then I did. But then I told myself I cannot let someone's no define my journey. I cannot let that be the end of my story. And I pushed past the little voice in my head, the little doubts, and I found someone else who told me yes. Angie Rossum Jones, she was the one that told me yes to be my writing coach, to help me get the book across the finish line, to help me believe in myself again. And I am definitely grateful for her because she was a big cheerleader. We had regular conversations at least twice a week around the book and like, all right, let's break it down. She made me keep the perspective and not overwhelm myself. And I'm grateful for those people who have told me yes in my journey, who saw past my fears and my insecurities and really saw my potential and really got me to where I'm at today. So I appreciate my Accenture family, my blood family, my friends, my ITSMF family for always giving me those words of encouragement, the love, the hugs, the check-ins, you know, asking those hard questions of my self-care and making sure I'm not overdoing it. But it's yes, there were a lot of fears and there were those doubts, but I am happy that I've worked through them. I'm happy that I told myself yes.
I'm happy. We are all happy you did too. And I always believe that, no's, sometimes no's mean not right now. Sometimes a no means it's a redirection to get you onto your path. Sometimes a no is a reminder of who you are despite, what you may hear from other people. So I'm glad that you were able to connect with somebody who was able to really be the right person, right, to help you
Right.
through this. So we are at the point of the episode that we call the final five. And the final five is five rapid fire questions for us to get to know you a little bit better before we wrap up today. So I would love for you to pick a number between one and I'm sorry, pick five numbers between 1 and 22.
All right. Let's go with number 4,
Okay.
number 11, 16, 1, 24.
Up to 22.
Oh, 22.
Mhm.
20.
Okay. All right, let's start with number 4. What are some of the things you do to recharge your energy?
Sleep. I have to tell myself to take a nap sometimes, even though my brain goes on rampant fires with so many thoughts. So I try to do a little bit better with the rest part. Massages. Being a runner, I would get plenty of massages. I don't do it as much now, but when I really need to relax, get a deep tissue massage, work out some of those kinks.
Yes, I love me a deep tissue massage. Yes.
Yes.
So the next question is, what is something that you put on to feel powerful?
Oh, right now it's been the blazers. The colorful blazers have been my signature thing right now, and it speaks volumes because I love color. I love showing up and feeling good. So the blazers make me feel good.
Clearly, same here. And
Yeah.
for those of you listening, I have a pink blazer on today. The next question is, what are some of the things that you do that when you do them, you feel the most like yourself?
Writing poetry. So that is
Ooh.
the beginning of my writing journey. I started writing poetry in middle school. So both my twin sister and I, we always wrote poetry or creative writing. And poetry is just one of those free spirit type of outlets for me. So I'm happy to say I refound the gift for that and the love of it through writing the book. And there may be a poetry book in the future too.
I was going to say, is that going to be a part of the next book series? I love it. Well, we are waiting for it. So, the next question is, when you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
In my true fashion, I thought I could be 4 or 5 things. So in my head, I wanted to be an actress, model, and the president of the United States. And, I had this fearlessness of like, all right, I want to do all of those. And I was like, I don't care if it never happened before, but I know it can happen. And then, oh, also one of the other things, so the fourth thing was an inventor. So I was always very crafty and came up with inventions around the house or a pulley system to pull books up from downstairs to upstairs. So I also wanted to be an inventor at one point in time. So I was always ambitious and thought I could do any and everything. And it was just a matter of what did I want to do first.
I love it. And the last one is, what is something that you love to do that people may be surprised by that you haven't mentioned yet?
Hmm. One thing that I would love to do a little bit more of that I found a lot of passion and fun around was surfing. So I discovered surfing, I want to say maybe what, 2 years ago when I went to Bali for my twin sister's wedding. And I was like, all right, I want to do something I've never done while I'm out of the country. And we were on an island. So I was like, okay, surfing. So my twin sister, she's been surfing. And so she found a spot for us to do that. And we had good teachers and all of that. And I was like, all right, if she can do it, I can do it. Because in my head, we're very similar physique and athleticism. So I was like, all right, I should be able to do it. It took me a while to get up and stand up, but once I figured it out and, got the quickness of it, I was able to catch some waves. I think I caught maybe like 10 to 15 waves by the end of the day.
That sounds like fun. I love it. Well, Tiana, I know that I said that was the last question. It's not quite, almost there, almost there. So, how can people connect with you? How can people buy the book so that we can continue to support you and to be, along for this journey with you?
Yes, so I am on social media. I have a LinkedIn page. It's just my name, TianEn Stephenson. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. On Facebook, it's my name, TianEn Stephenson, the author. Instagram, Ask Tianen, AskTianen. And then also the same handle for TikTok. So, oh, and then I also have a website. That's the fun part too. It's like you continue to create things. So I have my own website and people can sign up on the subscription list. My website is tianenstephenson.com. And you can also purchase your autograph copy of my book on my website, or you can purchase it on LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, on Amazon. So it is on Amazon. And you can follow me there. You can send me an email. I love connecting with people and just help wherever I can.
I love it. Well, as you know, Tiana, in the Beyonding community this year, we have been talking about going beyond limits, and we've been talking about it on the Beyond the Business Suit podcast as well. It's the theme of our Beyonding retreat in December, and you have certainly gone beyond limits. So thank you for sharing your insights, your wisdom, your experiences with us, your journey, and for all of those who are not even, I was going to say, I was going to ask them, if you are blah, 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 get the book. No, just get the book. Just get the book. Get the book for you. Get some more books for your mentees and your team members. And we are so excited to cheer you on. So thank you, Tianan, for being with us. And thank you, everybody here in the Zoom with us, for sharing this moment with us as well. For those of you who are listening on the podcast recording, you can find the notes to this episode on beyondthebusinesssuit.com. So thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much, Kylie.